Mary, well, there is a lot of concern about that because this man is considered dangerous with his escalating behavior towards the Congresswoman and his ongoing mental health issues. But prosecutors and police say they are still building this case, and now his guns have been taken away.
We're a tight-knit group here on our street. We look out for each other. It's scary when somebody wants to come and disrupt that.
In a quiet, close-knit neighborhood where Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal lives, police say Brett Forcell showed up in front of her home in the middle of Sunday night, armed with a loaded handgun, making threats. According to this extreme risk protection order, Forcell admitted to detectives he drove past her home twice that night and up to 7 times in the past, yelling obscenities. The 48-year-old claimed he wanted to pitch a tent on her property. The Congresswoman's husband and this neighbor called 911.
Heard loud screaming and yelling and cursing and we'll kill you, go back to where you come from, just things that were not okay and totally out of the ordinary for this street.
The man was arrested on suspicion of a hate crime threat, but he was released because it's been 3 days and prosecutors haven't filed charges. They're still working with police to build the strongest case.
I don't understand it. You know, what happened to the justice system? You know, it's just not right.
The protection order says detectives are still looking at audio and video that captured the incident and can't say with certainty Forcell told the Congresswoman to go back to India or that he threatened to kill her. Plus, he's denied saying anything about her ethnicity. This neighbor didn't want her identity shown.
Because he was really raising a ruckus and cussing and swearing and every nasty word that you could even hear. And then the prosecutors turn around and let him go.
Neighbors say it's unacceptable.
We look out for each other. So when there's somebody who wants to come and disrupt that, we're not having that here on our block. We don't participate in that.
So here in Belltown, there are 240 buildings. Tonight, we happen to be in an alleyway behind Moore Theater, and you can see this alleyway is hit over and over by taggers, but some local groups are hoping to change that.
Mark takes the time and energy to make it look right. His brush strokes count.
And we're making kind of an impact out here, to tell you the truth.
Mark is one of 3 formerly homeless people hired to help paint over graffiti in the Belltown area. It's part of a new pilot program by City University that's funded by a $25,000 grant by the Metropolitan Improvement District. Uplift Northwest workers like Mark helped to paint over graffiti on 20 of the biggest problem spots in Belltown.
Every day, Monday through Friday, they go to our problem 20 buildings and paint out that graffiti for those 20 buildings.
Well, I like the paycheck for one thing. And we're making a difference, seriously, folks.
It's an excellent opportunity to make the city clean, train people who are trying to get back to work.
Bergman Luggage at 3rd and Stewart is one of the top 20 graffiti problem spots in Belltown. The alley behind Moore Theater is another hot spot. In May, during the Seattle One Day of Service, volunteers helped repaint the area. No surprise, graffiti has returned to that spot and others.
This is a tag.
Tom Graff is the chair of Belltown United. He says some places like 2nd and Bell are a magnet for graffiti.
Some get hit and hit and hit and hit, particularly ones that are vacant.
He's counting on the community, volunteers, and hired uplift workers to help banish graffiti from Belltown.
I manage property in Belltown, and none of our properties have graffiti on it. And the reason they don't is that we do paint it out in 24 to 48 hours. I know this works, and we're going to prove it in our most difficult, unoccupied 20 buildings in Belltown.
So many factors at play here. That's one thing for sure. Number 1, inventory is on the rise. But number 2, so are those interest rates. And that's pushing a number of buyers out of the market completely. That's now leaving sellers in a greater sense of competition, really having to make their homes move-in ready before they get it on the market.
What we're telling people is if you're a buyer, now is the time to buy.
Why? There are more houses on the market now than a few months ago, and because prices are falling.
We just went under contract on a deal over the weekend, and our buyers got it for less than list.
Good for buyers, bad for sellers.
So we have dropped the price $65,000, which is a lot of money for us.
Heidi Nagel and her partner are downsizing from their 4-bedroom home now that they're empty nesters. They did their planning and their research starting back in February. They chose May to list it.
Well, we ended up hitting it the day that interest rates were hiked for the first time, and that was back in early to mid-May.
The first few open houses brought in a bit of foot traffic, but no offers. And there they still sit months later, looking for that buyer who right now is definitely in the driver's seat.
The buyers are in a position where now they can ask for more, whereas before sellers could not really or didn't have to give up anything.
Then after that, nothing.
Nagel's already put a new roof on her house, and that downsizing plan included renting an apartment. But now the apartment's empty. Too afraid of crime hitting an empty house, she's moved back in, away from her partner, who's now working in another city.
This is hard. We are stranded between an apartment and a house. We are, physically separated because this house won't sell.
You're watching KOMO News.
We need to start seeing change, and we need to start seeing, people paying attention to what's happening downtown.
Tonight, we're hearing from downtown businesses reacting to Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell's plan to help prop up a seriously understaffed and depleted Seattle Police Department.
Since 2019, hundreds of officers have left the Seattle Police Department, sending it to its lowest level of deployable officers in more than 30 years. Right now, the city says there are just 954 officers to police the streets of Seattle.
Tonight, Mayor Harrell is laying out a new comprehensive plan to get more officers out there to protect the community. Harrell was joined by Interim Police Chief Adrian Diaz at a news conference today. They announced details of this comprehensive plan, including incentives to bring more officers to the department.
Some of the key elements of the mayor's plan include offering hiring incentives of up to $30,000 for lateral transfers from other police departments and $7,500 for new recruits. Another incentive would be reimbursing candidates' applicant fees, travel expenses, and relocation costs after they're hired.
Our current staffing has been described as being at crisis levels, that we are asking a lot out of our existing force, that we will approach the city council with specific requests, and that we know in the 84 square miles of the city that this is a unifying element in our city.
Last year, while addressing staffing issues in the department, Interim Chief Diaz said that at a minimum, the department should have 1,400 total officers compared to the 954 they have today. Right now, the department is only budgeted for 1,350 officers. Tonight, business owners in the downtown core of Seattle tell us that the push to hire more officers can't come soon enough.
They've been dealing with increasing crime and longer response times for years. KOMO's Jackie Kent has their reaction, and the work they say still needs to be done. What are you hearing from them, Jackie?
Well, their first reaction was excitement for this potential $2 million investment for more officers. The Seattle Shirt Company behind me has been taking measures for years now to help protect customers and employees. The GM tells me she thinks the city's plan is a strong next step in boosting public safety.
We have definitely had issues. I mean, we have now installed bars on our windows and shatterproof riot glass, and we have a security guard. These are things that we didn't do 5 years ago.
The Seattle Shirt Company, just blocks from Pike Place Market, has seen its share of violence and property crime.
We had 3 break-ins within a week. People have said, I witnessed, a shooting, or I saw someone with a gun. We definitely lost employees because of that.
It's why GM Carrie Hicks wasn't surprised when Starbucks this week announced it's closing multiple locations, including in downtown.
I don't think they're wrong. We have definitely thought as a store, is this a place that we want to be?
The Downtown Seattle Association in a statement tells us businesses want faster police response times, more officers, help for people in need, and safer work environments.
If the police can't respond, we have to kind of take care of ourselves.
Today, Mayor Harrell and Interim Police Chief Adrian Diaz announced a proposal to recruit and retain officers with competitive incentives.
SB needs to keep the officers that we have and hire at least 500 more over the next 5 years.
I hope it's enough.
Hicks, who has 3 stores in downtown, says the Harrell administration has helped with public safety response this year, with the police precinct captain meeting with downtown businesses every other week. But she says more can be done.
Definitely responses and response time.
She says it's about protecting people and businesses and maintaining the workforce.
We're having to pay more for staff. We're having to do anything we can to get people to work downtown.
Hi, everyone. I'm Preston Phillips from KOMO News. Thanks for checking out the KOMO YouTube channel. You can see more of our videos right here by clicking on the video links for more news from the Seattle area and Western Washington. Oh, and don't forget to click the subscribe button below so you don't miss our YouTube updates.